everyone, I am Sonia Showalter and I'm going to attempt this video again. I'm doing this all by myself and I can't see what's happening on the other side of the camera, so I keep finding that I've moved out of view or the lighting's off and have to redo the whole thing again. All right, here are the napkins I've been posting about. And these are no sew. I did not do any kind of straight stitching or zigzagging or anything. I just don't have that kind of time and I really want this to work. And before embroidering, I cut all my napkins, I fringed them, washed them with detergent and about a half a cup of baking soda for about 3 yards of fabric. But I also put in clothing in the machine. So for the load, you can do half a cup of baking soda to a full cup. It helps to soften these fibers because this linen, it's kind of stiff. After everything is done, except for the embroidery, then I'm ready to starch and iron the area I'm going to hoop, and then I do my embroidery. And if you want to know how the process I use for machine embroidery and the way I stabilize for these kinds of fabrics, go to my video. I'll try and link it here. It's called The Secret to Avoiding Puckers, I believe that's the name of it. So on my channel, just come and look. Now the source for this linen is fabricstore.com, and I will post a link for this in the description. So just scroll down, and as you click subscribe, hit the bell for notifications and like the video. Keep scrolling and then you'll find the links to my sources and all that, and to my website. All right, so these are the napkins, and I just love, okay, I'm trying to stay in frame here. I just adore this. So you will lose a thread or two when you wash these, but generally speaking, this is pretty much it. I might, for example, like this, you might get a couple of these. I just trim them, but if they're really loose, I'll just pull them out. I think it's charming, adorable, and easy, and inspiring, I think, because I don't have time to be hemming this many napkins. I made a set of 6, and I want to do more. But I'd rather do this and get them done than dream about hemming them on a machine and never getting anything done. So these are better than perfect with the fringe edge, and for me they're perfect because I love that look. So there you go. Okay, now let me show you what needs to be done. Here's the actual fabric just as it comes to you from the company. I bought a full volt because I love this color. It's an amber color. It's not yellow, it's more of an amber, very warm and just beautiful. So basically what you need to do is you need to make sure to square off your fabric when you first receive it. It may have been cut straight across, just eyeballing it. So you want to make sure this edge is squared before you even start. So I squared off this edge. I think I cut off like a ½ inch or an inch or something to square it off. And I'll show you in a minute what I mean by that. Hopefully the light is good as well. And once you square it, if you pull one of the threads off the end, it should go all the way across. Now for these napkins, I wanted to use the width of the fabric minus a tiny bit of what I cut off the edge. I just wanted them to be squared. So, oh, my tape measure. I'll be right back. It fell on the floor. Okay. I cut off at 20 inches. So what I did was go to the very edge, measure 20 inches, and this is totally up to you. You can make them rectangular if you want. That's up to you. So at 20 inches, I clip right between two of those threads, and I clip enough so I can pull. And you want to stay between the threads because then you'll start cutting across and you won't be in line with the weave, and then you start getting cattywampus with your cut. Okay, so I find a loose thread. You can pull 2 threads if you want. I just pull one. That seems to be enough. And pulling a thread creates a gap. So when you pull this thread completely out, you're going to have a gap between 2 of those threads, like railroad tracks, like between the railroad tracks. And that will be your guide to cut on so that you know for sure that your fabric has been cut perfectly straight. And sometimes because this is linen and it has little knots and things that'll get hung up in the weave, and you have to kind of just do what you can. Sometimes it's gonna break, but you can at least get started. Oh, this is a strong one. I'm struggling to get this little knot. Boy, I hadn't encountered one of these yet. All right, I just pulled it, strong-armed it, and just broke it off. But it leaves me a little track, if you can see it, to cut on. And you do this all the way across. Okay, so you want to stay. Okay, there we go. I couldn't see it. You want to be nice and neat about it. All right, so this had broken off, so that means I cut right up to where it broke and a little beyond it, but to the side of that one thread that broke. See, there it is. And then I just pick it up and keep pulling. I think that happens to be one of the thicker strands or something because it's not moving very easily. Okay, all my pulling has caused a little bit of a path for me, so I'm going to go ahead and cut right past it because I can see. There we go, see? So thick. That's all right. Just do your best, keep working your way across. You pull this all the way out, and if the other side has a loop in it because it's on the selvage, just clip it when you get there because it won't pull out since it's looped. So what I do is I go to that edge and I can see where the thread pulled, so it leaves a little pattern there, so I know where to cut. Pull that thread out, and if it's got the loop in it, you can clip the loop. I think I clipped it as I did the little notch there, so we're good to go. But if it still had the loop in it, I would just cut the loop off so that I could pull it out. And there we go. Now I have a nice line to cut on all the way across. Okay. So there's my beginnings of my napkin. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of pulling a thread and cutting off the very edge, I'm going to go ahead and use that little white line here. I'm not going to cut off the entire selvage because I don't want to lose that width, because by the time you put it together, you lose probably an inch, maybe an inch and a half altogether if you cut off the entire selvage. So what I did was I just went ahead and used this as a guide, an easy guide. If you want to get closer to the edge, you're welcome to do that. But I just wanted to go ahead and use the little white weave, the little edge that's kind of a lighter color. I just use that as my guide. I cut on that line for the selvages. Whoops, having trouble holding on to it. I'm trying to hold it so you can see it, trying to get the light on it. Okay, so you would cut all the way to the end, obviously, and then on the other side. And then what you do is you start with the cross weave, because that one's easier to work with. The selvage is a little tighter, so just take the ends first, the cross weave, and you'll know you're right on because you're squared, because you can pull the thread all the way across. This is kind of like having potato chips. It was hard for me to stop doing 6 napkins. It was like I was in a zone, kind of mindless work, but therapeutic. I was focused. I was listening to a program, and I just went to town doing this. It was just something you can focus on. It doesn't take a lot of thinking, and it's hard to stop, actually. So what you want to do is maybe take off to about a 1/4 inch. So you have maybe a 1/4 inch fringe. It'll fringe a little more after you wash it. You will pull off a couple of strands here and there. So I tend to go a little bit narrower than my final idea of what I want. And that way, if I have to pull off extra strands, I'm still good. But that's totally up to you. If you want it nice and wide, that's up to you. Okay, so once you have this either started or done, you can start pulling off of the selvage, because it makes it easy. And since I didn't cut it all the way off, I'm not doing it all the way down. But the selvage is much tighter, so you might only be able to do 1 or 2 at the most at a time. So, and there will be some loose, shorter pieces that come out of here. So what you'll want to do is probably not do this on your couch, but maybe on a table where you can keep a pile of the threads kind of under control, because you don't want this all over the place. That's a lot of loose threads. And so I did notice there's quite a bit of lint that comes off. Not a ton of it, but it does start collecting. So a bare table where you can, use a damp cloth to clean up afterwards or whatever. You just don't want lint all over your furniture, your couch, or things that are covered in fabric. So just a little warning of what to expect. And it does produce a lot of little cut ends on the selvages, so you'll want to keep those. See, I don't know if you can see that. So you'll want all these come off, see? So you don't want all that laying around all over your carpet. Just be gentle as you pull it, and then you won't be, flinging that into the air and breathing it in. And then when it's all done, all 4 sides, you throw it in the wash. I think it took about 3 yards. Did I mention that already? I did in my previous videos, my previous attempted videos. I think it took me about 3 yards to do 6 napkins. I think that's right. And then I just threw it in with a load of laundry, like some towels and things like that. So I had a decent sized load, and put in, I think, 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of baking soda in with the regular detergent. When you get it out of the washer, make sure you give it a good snap in each direction. Get those wrinkles, those folds from the spinning, and just shake it loose in every direction. Throw them in the dryer, and then put a couple of softener sheets to additionally soften the fibers. I don't put them on high heat. I put them like medium-high heat, not full high heat. And take them out after about 8 minutes or so while they're still damp, and give them a good shake again in every direction. Lay them out on a table or counter and smooth them out with your hands. Get them all nice and smooth. Let them finish drying, and then they'll be ready by the next day, or even if you're ready to embroider it. Spray the area, and these I actually embroidered this direction. Spray the area with starch and iron till it's nice and stiff. Like I said, my video on how to prevent puckers will explain all that. And do your embroidery. After it's embroidered, you remove the backing. I use tearaway, and I'll put a link to what tearaway I actually use. I don't starch it after I embroider it. I remove the backing, the leftover stabilizer. I mist it with water and help the fabric, the linen relax. And then start pressing. And I press it gently. I don't plop the iron on top because the linen is going to have its own little personality in it once you wet it. So you want to make sure you're approaching it with care, so you're not ironing the natural wrinkles or whatever into your napkin. And actually, when this came out of the hoop, they almost didn't need ironing, except it had the hoop marks and everything. So, but it looked very nice like this. But once you mist it, the fabric is going to do its own thing. It's got its own personality. Well, you don't want to iron that personality into, you know, your fabric as you're trying to iron your embroidery. So that's the reason for, you know, taking it slow with the iron just to get everything set for the first time. And it all becomes like part of the fabric. The embroidery and the fabric become one. Okay? And I think those are all my tips. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, even click like if you appreciate this video. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I hope I'm in frame because maybe I'll be able to upload this by tomorrow. Thanks again, everyone. See you soon.